Good morning and very welcome to my channel. My name is Dave Mojo. This is how I've been called in my channel, and it's a nickname that I like to use for the vibe of the Mojo. Anyway, what we're gonna talk about today, we're gonna talk about XK5. And there is a lot of videos out there, and especially one from Jim Alfredson. I believe he's a professional jazz player, very famous in America. And he made a full video, about an hour, of deep diving on all the functionality of the XK5. So this video is not meant to deep dive on each function. On that video, and I will post a link because it's very useful, he will talk deeply inside each function. For example, the overdrive, the effect, the reverb, the percussion, the drawbar settings, the lazily, and all that. This video will mainly focus on one thing, and this is a bit of a gray area. It's not discussed on the video from Jim Alfredson, and I haven't found specifically videos about the XK5 talking about patches. So basically how to create a patch, in other words, how to create your own sound. That means saving in a patch your drawbar settings, your overdrive settings, your effects, your reverb, your lazily, and everything. Basically, what they have done on the XK5, which is a bit different from how it was done on the XK3 or XK3C, is that you can actually save a patch per specific patch. So what I mean by that is that on each patch, you can also give a name, for example, a name of a song. You can actually set specific settings that differ from other patch that you may create later. What I mean by that is that each patch can actually save its own specific settings, including the amount of reverb you want to give to that specific song patch. So it's not a patch just about the drawbar settings, but each settings that used to be, I believe, on the XK3C a bit global, like the lazily, the reverb, the overdrive. Now these are actually specific settings that you can calibrate and adjust for specific patch. And what we're going to talk about is how to create a patch, how to save the patch, how to name that patch, and actually how to save that patch on the reverse black key. And there's one tricky part, because this is a dual manual. Now, obviously, this tutorial is meant to be mainly for all the XK5 owners, most likely. I believe that this also apply in a way to the XK3C, which I did own before. I never paid attention, but if I remember correctly, you couldn't actually save the amount of reverb per patch on the XK3C, but I could be a little wrong on that, because some of the settings on the XK3C, I was adjusting them manually. So I never really tested if per patch you could actually create a specific overdrive settings, a reverb settings, a percussion settings, and so on and so forth. Well, percussion for sure, yes, you could, but I'm not sure about the overdrive and the reverb. Anyway, you can do all this on the XK5, but when you create a patch with all your settings and you save it, then you want to assign this patch perhaps on a black key. For example, In this case, I have selected the C key, okay, or we could take the C sharp, for example. This is unused, and we're gonna demonstrate this using this specific preset. So this is where, in the end, we are going to save that patch into a preset on the reverse black key. Now, what is important to understand is that because it's a dual manual, you may set a specific drawbar settings for the upper manual and some other drawbar settings for the lower. Now, one thing that it's not so obvious is that when you actually save it on the preset on the reverse black key, you know, on the black key and the white keys here, to actually recall the lower manual settings that you just set, you have to first save it on the black key, and I will show you how, but then you have to recall the lower manual with the same C sharp. So if you save it on C sharp, you actually need to press this lower manual C sharp to actually see on the display the lower manual settings. So let's suppose you set on the upper manual 8888, on the lower manual you're going to set, let's say, this is a typical Procol Harum settings, 443. Okay, now once you create a patch, which I'll show you how, then you have to save it. Let's suppose you save it on C sharp. Now if you switch between patches that you have already saved it on other presets, and you just use the upper manual presets key to recall that patch, now to basically recall the lower manual settings, you have to also repress the same key. So if you save it on C sharp, you have to repress C sharp to recall the lower manual settings that you set on the specific patch. Let's call it the Procol Harum, for example, on C sharp. Now, let's suppose we want to create a patch for any patch. We don't name it because this is just an example for you to understand. So I want to save this patch on here. At the moment, I don't know if you can see from the screen, it is called Green Onion, but we can actually override it this. Let's suppose we want to create a patch, actually we assign a name, we create a patch for Procol Harum, okay? So what we're gonna do, let's set up some drawbar settings. For Procol Harum, I typically have this setting, so 6886 for the upper manual. Then I'm gonna set the lower manual a bit soft, so I'm gonna pull just the first two drawbars, 4, 4, and then 3. Okay, as far as I recall, the original settings for the Procol Harum were actually 332. I found this too little, so I decided to set it to 443. Okay, so we are setting now this drawbar settings. For the Procol Harum, we have to set the percussion on soft, okay, no overdrive, and a bit of reverb. Okay, we're gonna give a good nice amount of reverb. I put it on about 11 o'clock, which is from 1 to 10, let's say, is about around 4 or 40% of the total amount of the reverb. Okay, that's quite a lot, and some people likes more reverb. You can do that. That doesn't matter. This is just an example because we need to save it. Now, I hope you can see with this camera. Now, I did my settings, so I have my percussion, I have my reverb on, I have my drawbar settings. Now, the name is showing as a Green Onion, okay? But you can see the drawbar settings. They are correct, okay? Now, let's save, first of all, this patch. So what you do, you press the record button and enter, okay? So you actually saved the patch as U21. So basically it's the user. And what you can actually do now, you need to change the name because it's saved as a green onion. So what you do, you go to menu, okay, you turn the knob, this knob here, the value knob, and you go to patch, click enter, and now you can set the name. So let's call it Procol Harum, okay. So I'm gonna lose a bit of time on this one. Okay, and then with these arrows, right and left, you can move to the next letter. So we already have the R. So then we're gonna find the O. Okay. Okay. And then the H for, let's say, Harum. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's done. Okay, so I show you exactly. Now you want to save this name, so what you do, you press the record button again and enter, and you're going to overwrite the name, and then to come back to the main menu, play. Okay, now did we finish? Well, it depends. If you're happy with the default lazily settings and all that, you can actually store it on the preset key, which is, in this case we chose C#. Now I'm not happy, let's say I want to change the lazily settings, so I'm going again to menu, I'm gonna find the lazily, there you go. So you have amp effects, okay, lazily, enter. Now by default is 122 gentle. Let's say that I don't want to use this one. You have 122 wild. I think wild is too much for the Procol Harum. And then you have a different type of lazily. Let's suppose I want to use the 147 gentle. I think gentle is good for Procol Harum. What we're gonna do, again, we chose that, we set it, so 147 gentle, record, enter, done, play. And now you have these settings. Now let's put the amplifier on. And you can actually hear, okay, it's a bit too low. Let's put volume up. Do you like it? Let's suppose you like it. Then you want to save these settings into the preset key. But I want to show you one other thing that you could even set as a preset on the patch and then on the preset. So that is the amp effects. So you go to menu, you find the amp effects is over there, flashing. Okay, now there is the tube options. You have UA7 and XA and AX7 tubes, and you have the DSP overdrive over there, but that settings for the DSP can also use tubes. Okay, so basically you have three type of overdrive: just the tubes, DSP overdrive, and on the DSP overdrive you can actually choose tubes as well to get a warm breakup. Now Procol Harum is a very gentle song, so you don't want to use any heavy distortion. At the moment the routing for the tube is just bypass, so there is nothing. But I think on the Hammond originally, on the amp itself, there is still some very gentle breakup that you should actually use. So what you can do on the tubes, you can set the value not to bypass, and you have the option X7 to X7, which is the tube. This is a bit aggressive if we compare to U7 to U7. I would choose U7 to U7, or you could do U7 to X7, or X7 to U7. This is also good. Let's suppose we choose this one, okay? Now, in the end, it's a matter of taste, adjusting it. We are not talking about what is the proper adjustment. Here, the scope is to show you how to do that. So once you choose your tube, this is the amount overdrive. So you use the arrow key to move into the next value, and you can decide how much drive you want to put on this X7 to U7 tube. I think 32 is just perfect, and you can actually taste it live before. Now, it's very difficult with a microphone here to actually hear the amplifier, because usually well, I'm supposed to have 2 mics, but I don't have one, so I hope at the next video I can do better. And I can't put the mic there because I'm talking and I don't know how good you can hear the sound, but there is a very gentle breakup, and I think it's just perfect. So we want to save the sound now, because we decide that this is the good settings. Again, record, enter, and you save the patch. Okay, so on that patch, okay, if you click play, so on the U21 you have this patch that you created called Procol Harum, with this specific drawbar settings, okay, with the lazily, which is 147 gentle, with some reverb, percussion on soft, and then you have your drawbar settings like we said, and you have a tube overdrive, a natural tube overdrive breakup set to a value of 32. All this is done, and the patch exists on the XK-5 memory. Now, is it on the preset key? No, it's not. How do you do that? Right, let me show you. You press the record button and you keep on holding pressed. While doing that, you choose your key, your preset key. So we said C#, and it's recording to your favorites. Okay, so basically these are called like the presets or favorites, whatever you want to call it. Now, you can see the drawbar settings are showing the name U21, which is the location of the patch, and it's stored on C#. I hope this cam is actually showing this little display. I couldn't place in any better positions, and I will actually try when I do the video editing, because this is you know, a live, it will be recorded, and then I will do some adjustment. I will try to focus on zooming the recording as much as I can to actually show you the display, and it's saved on a C#, so which is here, right? And that's it. Now let's suppose I want to change patch. I'm gonna play another song. I have this one, Give Me Some Lovin', okay? Now as you can see, I press some lovin' here, but the lower drawbar setting is still showing the Procol Harum, so I have to actually press and recall the same patch here, and now it's fine. So for the Give Me Some Loving, I have the same settings up and down, so you can upper manual, I mean, and lower manual, so you can choose which manual to use from playing this song, because Give Me Some Loving you can actually play on one manual. You don't really need 2 different manuals with 2 different sounds. Now let's suppose, okay, I want to play now Procol Harum. So you go back there, and the upper one is showing the correct drawbar setting that you set for the Procol Harum, but the lower is still showing the Give Me Some Loving, which is wrong. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to recall it, yeah, and you're done. So now you can see the Procol Harum drawbar settings for the lower manual, and you're ready to play. So that's it basically. And if you want to have more knowledge about each functionality and how you do really adjust it, this is not the right video, because this is a video that shows you how to create a patch, how to name a patch, how to save that patch, and how to save that patch on your favorites or reverse black key. Okay, and that's it. And regarding the link for Jim Alfredson, I'm gonna put it on the description, so you can actually click on that link and watch that video as well. Now, I do really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope it's useful. This is a video that mainly is for Hammond users. Some of the procedure that has been shown here is actually the same for the XK3C. Perhaps all the settings have been showing here are exactly the same. I can assure you that the way how you save a patch, and you save a patch on a preset key on favorites, so on the black keys basically, is the same. I just can't recall on there because I sold the XK3C a little while ago, and I don't remember if you can actually save the Leslie settings and the reverb settings per patch, or maybe on the XK3C that it's a bit global settings that you cannot save per patch. That being said, this close for today our tutorial, and thank you very much. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe and leave a like. Thank you so much. Have a nice